Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here. Welcome to my possibly one and only beta video for Shadowlands. Don't worry, there won't be any story spoilers or anything. I'll just be covering the new leveling squish coming with pre-patch. I'm going to give a brief preview on how it works in beta right now, and then I have a couple of suggestions for it as well. But first, let's give a warm welcome to my newest patron, Ghouls Gold. Thank you so much for your support, and welcome to the Kraken crew. Alright, let's get into it. First, let's look at the leveling changes and how this all works. It's actually fairly simple, so you can put your notepads away. So let's assume you're making a new character. Once you've got one made and you hit finish, if you are a player who is not new to the game, and you've leveled through BFA at least once, you can choose between Exile's Reach or your racial starting zone. Exile's Reach is 1 through 10, but we won't be getting into that for any spoilers, so let's choose my racial starting zone. Now you're in-game in your little starter area, just like we've seen before. For the record, the ability to choose other expansions to level in, what folks are dubbing Chromie time, is available at level 10. Exile's Reach will put you at level 10 when you level, but if you decide to do your racial starting zone, you just keep questing until you hit 10 or so. That part isn't too different than it is now. Now once you hit level 10, if you're a new player and you've never leveled through Battle for Azeroth, you'll be ushered into BFA to quest there after you've done Exile's Reach, which you had to do anyways. If you are not new, you now have access to a huge variety of places. You have access to Chromie time. Even if you're not new, you get the quest to go into Battle for Azeroth zones if you like, or you can go somewhere else. Chromie will be down by the embassy for both factions, and you can chat with her to select an expansion that interests you. She'll give you the starter quest for that expansion, and you can head off on your adventures. Something I noticed too while testing is if you don't want to do the Chromie time version of expansion-specific leveling, you can just ignore it and quest like we do now. Each zone still has an entry level cap like we're used to, so this method of questing doesn't seem to be going away. Chromie time is there technically in addition to this older system to let you pick an expansion. In theory. Here's why. I've noticed you can sort of just do the Chromie time version of leveling without actually talking to Chromie. Each expansion actually lets you begin questing on that continent even if you don't speak with Chromie, since they all now have a minimum level of 10 to enter. So I can just go to Pandaria at level 10 and quest through those zones without ever turning on Chromie time. I think what it is though, this is just my thoughts here, is that Chromie time is more of just a guide. If it's already level skilled like this and you know what you're doing, you can just snag the intro quest from your journal wherever you are and be on your merry way. Nothing's too different there. So I'm actually a little confused as to why we need her. I had first thought, before testing any of this, that she was the one who scaled you when you selected an expansion. Like you would pick it, and you'd just be locked into that expansion unless you changed your mind. She just seems to give you the starter quest, or even just direct you to the command board, which you can do anyways without her. The scaling doesn't actually change when you talk to her, and you can still pick up any zone starting quest of the appropriate level. So, I don't know. She's really cool, and I like the idea of her helping us move through expansions in its own sort of time gig, but she sort of just seems like a living command board. I've heard that this system isn't entirely complete, so we'll just have to see what happens, I suppose. Regardless of that point, you can quest in any expansion once you hit level 10. You can stay there all the way until 50, or you can bounce around and do the zones that you can get into at your level, just like we do now. The major change to the leveling coming with pre-patch is really just being able to get into any expansion continents at level 10. So it really is as plain as that. Not too radically different than now, just with more options sooner. Now let's get into my thoughts on this, on my opinions. I also have a couple of suggestions for improvement, so let's look at that too. So this new version of being able to choose any expansion at level 10 is a major step forward in breathing some life into the old leveling zones. This is a fantastic change that will let you experience any expansion you want all the way through without being required to do as much old content as we used to have to. The addition of Exile's Reach is also fantastic, and it is really well done, a really well done intro experience that I'm looking forward to doing on live. So overall, I think this is a great step in the right direction. However, I do have a slight issue with it. Leveling is a big part of how I play WoW. It's an amazing journey for me, and a time I can get into some epic roleplay with my best friend. As someone who has many max level alts, you can imagine that I have experienced each expansion zones multiple times. So I should be happy with the option to choose different expansions now, right? So what's my issue? This right here, right what I'm pointing at. Each zone still has an entry-level requirement within the continent. The level requirement at 10 to get into the continent is totally fine. I get that, I like that. No, I mean these, right here, the zones themselves. Why do I not like this? This means that every expansion still has a linear zone order that you are required to quest in, no matter how many times you've done it. While the zones are actually still static, meaning you can just go level somewhere else, skip a zone you don't like, there is still the fact of needing to do that. The need to purposely outlevel areas you don't enjoy in order to get to the ones you do. Now don't mistake me, I completely understand why they've done this. There is a proper order for these zones to be done in to see the whole story progress, and I totally agree. Urging players to go through the expansion in a linear fashion at least once will immerse them in one grand story that will leave them with a greater understanding of the lore. That's great. Once, though, is the key word here. Because then you have someone like me, someone who has already done all this and doesn't need to see that linear progression again. And while I enjoy questing probably far more than most players, I do actually get tired of it. The prime cause of that is the lack of freedom. I want replayability without the major repetitiveness. So here's my suggestion for this. I actually have two. First one. Once a player has completed every zone in an expansion, gotten that little achievement that says, "Yay, you did it!" open it up for alts to do it in any order. The best part? This type of system is already being used for the Shadowlands zones. The first time we progress through Shadowlands in the specific order we're led by, alts can then do the zones in whatever order they want. That's awesome! We get the proper story told to us the first time, so we understand everything, and then we're free to shake it up every time after. I want this exact beautiful system, but in the older expansions. That's all. If this is implemented, I will be the happiest WoW player ever, and you can sure as heck bet that I'll be questing 10 times more than I already do now. And here's my second suggestion, which actually comes coupled with a complaint. Are you ready for this? I never complain. Here we go. Why is Cataclysm lumped in with vanilla? I was so excited to be able to head right into Deepholm, or Uldum, or Vazir at level 10. Y'all can hate me if you want, but my top favorite zones to quest in all of WoW are the Cata zones. Cataclysm was its own expansion, yet it's being thrown into the vanilla experience as that expansion's end zones. I don't like this. I understand that the vanilla world was greatly changed because of the Cataclysm, but I'm really sad that I have to level to 30, yes, 30, every time I want to do Cata-specific zones. And surely it isn't because they think those zones require flying, right? There are actually paths all over the zone that let you get around. I've done all of them without flying. For fun. So my suggestion, my request, nay, my plea, is to just let me choose Cata zones at 10 like the other expansions. You'll have won my heart over if you do. So there we have it. I know I said I wouldn't do any beta videos, but this is a topic I really was passionate about, and really wanted to share in case someone from the dev team was watching. Shadowlands looks so awesome on so many levels, and if my tiny channel's voice could help it be just that much more impactful for the longevity of World of Warcraft, then I'm happy to do this. As an altaholic myself, this expansion is already singing my praises, even with my rather minor gripes. You're doing amazing work, Blizzard. Thank you. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have some neat tips or feel like I missed something on this topic, share down below. If you want to see more of me in free-form, unscripted action, check me out on my gaming channel of Latte Tea. The link for that is in the description. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you like my content. And remember, it's never too latte.